Come close. I got the world championship for you. Shh, don't say nothing. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by, as always. Man, you guys know I got the chess for you, man. We got the world championship going on right now. So I got Liren versus Gukesh Dommaraju. And this is game number 12. And it is a very nice game. It is a very close world championship. So, you know, both players are playing just about evenly. So it is anyone's game. But as always, all of my people that are coming from anywhere around the world, I will say Meraming Salamat. I will say Shishya. I will say Dani Avadalu, or I will say Mika Nandri. If you're coming from one of the main countries that I'm presenting to. But if you guys are ready to go, son, let's take a look and see what we got for this game. So we have the move C4. It is the English opening. And like I told you guys the other day, it is very transposable into D4 stuff, because usually when you see D4, at some point you're going to probably see the move C4. You got to get a good center, homie. We do see the move E6, and I like this because this is the way that I like to play, because I like to play Queen's Gambit decline stuff, Rogozins and things. So I am definitely saying, man, I'm going to go E6, and we're going to see if you want to go D4 and go into that. So we do see the move G3. We got D5. We got Bishop G2, Knight F6, Knight F3, and we still kind of have some Catalan situations going on. You know, if we do see the move D4. So it's kind of just how you want to play, homie. We do see the move D4 by black. So this is a slight variation from what we saw the other day when we saw pawn took and pawn took here. And we are basically just telling white, you are not placing your knight on C3. But we do see castles by white. Knight goes to C6, and we do see E3 because Ding Li Jin is like, hey, bro, I insist. I really want to get my knight right here, bro. So if you can just kindly move your pawn out the way, thank you. But we do see Bishop E7. Black is really trying hard to not have any parts of that. But we do see the move D3. And now we do see pawn taking E3, Bishop taking E3. So everything is everything. The thing I want to tell you guys coming up, we do see the move E5. So this is allowing the bishop to kind of get out somewhere. We got knight to C3 finally. And then we do have castles. And then the thing I wanted to tell you guys is, if you kind of reverse the way this looks in your mind, this is basically a Sicilian defense. This would kind of be the E4 pawn. This would be the D6 pawn. This would be C5. And we do not have a D pawn. So you kind of flip the ideas as far as white is concerned. And one of your main things that you're trying to do if you are white is push the move D4 and liberate your pawn center. We do see rook to E1. We got the move H6. So we kind of have a little bit of preparatory moves for both sides. We do see the move A3, and then we have A5. This is a highly committal move. You're basically telling white that you don't want any, you know, like I said, this is kind of a reverse Sicilian. So you do have white possibly wanting to go like A3, B4, B5 and knock this knight. So we are wanting that not to happen if we are black. But you will kind of see somewhat of a drawback of that move coming up pretty soon. We do see the move H3. We got bishop to E6. We got king sliding into its little safety pocket over here. We got the rook to B8. The queen goes to C2. We got the rook to E8. And then we do see knight to B5. And like I said before, you are stopping kind of an idea from white, but you have really kind of given white a really nice outpost here for the knight. And at the moment, you really don't have anywhere you can move this knight to kind of free the C-pawn, or like maybe go C6 and kick the knight, stuff like that. But I will say this, both players have pretty much up to this point been playing very accurately. So they probably are like 99.9% accuracy up to this point in the game. We do see the move bishop to F5. Like I mentioned before, one of the main ideas that white would love to kind of get in, to kind of basically make everything super solid and make sure that they are being as dynamic as possible, is getting this D4 push in. The queen is holding C4 for now, so I mean, there's really nothing holding you back. But we do see bishop F5, and this is kind of pinning that pawn down. We got the rook A to D1, knight goes back to D7. We got queen to D2. Bishop drops back to G6. We got the move D4. There was really nothing else that black can do to kind of like hold, you know, this D4 pawn at bay. So it's going to be pushed. So we do see it here. We got the move E4. This is actually a really nice counter-attacking move. And you are kind of asking that knight, what does it want to do? So we go back to G1. We got knight over to B6. We got queen to C3. And then we actually have the move bishop to F6 in the game. There's a slight problem with this move. And I'm going to show you guys right here what is wrong with it. So after we do see queen to c3, you have to really latch on to a very serious idea in this position. We would probably see the move f5 if you're going to play like the absolute strongest. It's definitely white for choice, but if you're going to latch onto this idea I was telling you guys before, you would play the move f5. You would see knight to e2, bishop would go to f6 now, and then after something like knight to f4, you would be looking at bishop to f7. And this is a very real threat here on the c4 pawn. Now, you kind of have to be somewhat of an Aleyekin's defense player to kind of like realize these ideas. This is one of the major weak points. If you look at the position, it looks pretty much like an Aleyekin. You know, the knight comes here, goes over here, then kind of comes back here. So you have this knight set up. You know, you have a bishop and everything kind of trying to hit d4, but everything is solid for right now. But remember this idea because it is going to become relevant later. So like I said, we had queen to c3 and then bishop to f6. We got queen down to c2. We got the move a4. We got knight to e2, and then we have bishop to g5 in the position. Now backing up in this position here, one of the other ideas if you play the Aleyekin is black. Well, for the record, I don't play the Aleyekin myself. It is a completely busted defense, so don't play it against me. I don't know. Anyway, I have some trouble sometimes. But one of the other ideas is to go and try to double up on this pawn here. And I believe that is the reason why a4 was pushed to prevent any b3 from coming, because that is a very big defensive idea against this idea right here. But like I said, we did see bishop to g5, and then we have the move knight to f4. And it is very important that the idea of retreating the bishop or getting the bishop out of the way is latched onto here like it was before with this bishop f7. You really have bishop h7 and bishop f5 are the two absolute best moves. And you really don't want to go bishop takes f4 because it kind of gives white what they want. But that is what we actually see in the game. Bishop takes f4 and then bishop takes f4. And you now have the bishop trained on c7 and the knight. So you're having to play very, very passively now if you are black. And you're basically giving white a lot of attacking chances. So we do see rook sliding over to c8. Really, there's nothing better than that. We got queen going up to c3. And there is a very real threat behind this move. It might seem subtle. The queen's just kind of going back and forth. But we are wanting to push the move d5 and make knight to e5 undesirable. So you have to back up to b8. But Gukesh says, bro, I'm going to do you one better and just back up to b8 anyway without you even pushing a pawn. So we see knight going back to b8. And in this position right here, instead of going knight to b8, which is somewhat passive, the computer was really loving the move f6. And like I said, it was because of that idea that we had before, going back bishop to f7 and really trying to put maximum pressure on this point. Because this is kind of like an Aleyekin's defense, you are in a very, very passive position if you are black. And you really kind of have to drum up some kind of counterplay somewhere. So that is why the computer is wanting that stuff. But like I said, we saw knight to b8. We do see the move d5. We got queen going to d7. And queen to d7 really attacks nothing. Not only does it attack nothing, but the knight actually can't really successfully come out anywhere. You really kind of want to go knight b or knight 8 to d7. I believe that's what you say. There really is no threat here. You can't really go bishop to f5 because you're going to see g4. So I mean, this doesn't really kind of do too much for your position. It does allow white to go d6, which Dominguez does capitalize on right here. And you absolutely under zero circumstances want to capture here, because you would be looking at this and why did I allow you to fork my rooks, bro? Don't do that, bro. Backing up, we did see the move c5 in this position here. It was definitely the best way to go about, you know, protecting that situation, but it does knock your rook away. After we see the move knight to c7, you really have nowhere to put this rook. I mean, you don't really have anywhere legitimately, you know, to put the rook here. You could possibly try to put it over here, but there are problems with that also. And you are going to have to abandon your really beautiful looking e4 pawn. So if we kind of go back to, you know, the position that we had way before, you know, where you moved f5, that was a little of a way for you to kind of like give the e4 pawn a little bit more protection at that point there. We do see bishop taking e4. It's like, man, if you're going to give me a pawn, I'm going to take a pawn, homie. And then we do see knight to c6. And this at least kind of gives you something. I mean, you did get your knight back into play, but there really isn't anywhere good that you can put it. We do see bishop going back to g2. Rook c goes to d8. We got knight to d5. Knight takes d5, and then not rook takes, but we have pawn taking, and this does knock this knight. Unfortunately, to the b8 square, which is where like a lot of the knights have been living in this game. The knight goes back to b8, and then we do see queen taking c5. So we see that white has managed to grab 2 pawns from black. And I mean, like I said, you're basically like, hey, bro, if you're going to give me some pawns, I'm going to take some pawns on me. We do see rook going over to c8. We got queen down to d4. You know, this d6 pawn is firmly held, so we are always already good to go. Knight goes to a6, but even still, there really isn't a lot of better, you know, there's not a lot of squares you can put this knight. I mean, you're probably going to try to put it here at some point. I bet you have a rook sliding over to c1. You got some bishop e3s. I mean, you are good to go. And then we see a rook to e7. Just putting that rook in the queen's face. In the face. Getting it. So the queen is going to have to move somewhere. This is a mighty pig on the 7th, homie. So we got queen going down to b5. We got the move d7 because add insult to injury. We got the rook sliding down to c4. We actually see queen to e3 in the game. But you know the crazy thing about it? The computer is so in love with queen taking c4. Why? Because the queen would take c4 and you are going to go rook to e8 and you are getting a queen no matter what. The rook can take here. You're going to get a queen like that, but that's going to be really checking. You can also just let something else happen. You know, move the queen. Just do something else and allow the rook to take, the king to take, and then stuff like that to take. You're going to be getting a queen no matter how you slice it, bro. But we do see queen to e3, and we got rook down to c2, and Gukesh is like, bro, I'm going to get me a pawn, and then Ding is like, bro, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and let you get that pawn. I'm going to be playing over here. So we got bishop going to d6, and then we now have f6 coming up into the game, and we have reached a point in the game that there is a killer blow in the position. If you want to pause the video and try to guess that killer blow, go ahead and do so. Okay, so this is a move that completely ends the game because you are going to be down way too much material. And the move that I'm looking for is rook takes g7 with check. And if you found this, you would be calculating a couple of moves deep in the game. You're going to be looking at something like this. And then after the king takes, the bishop is going to be taken, the king's going to be taken, and you have a queen here. So now you have 2 whole queens and a rook and a bishop. Against, I mean, the pieces are equal, but you got 2 queens, bro. Like I said, you got 2 queens, homie. You can't, I mean, this is just mating, man. You're going to have to back the bishop up or the bishop or something like that. You got checks coming here. It's just not, that's not where you want to be at, bro. Just don't be there if you play your own games, man. Don't do that, bro. So like I said, we did see rook takes g7 with check, and it is in this position that Gukesh did resign the game. So Liren was able to get another win. And he is now leading by 1 point. So if he can manage to just maintain his lead, then he will be the world champion yet again. So I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. Maraming salamat the king makaibigan po sa nanonood ng aking mga video. Masaya akong makikinig muli. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Hello ulit. Anybody who is coming from China, I will say ni hao. Shishi, I appreciate you very much. We told Jian, I'm gonna see you guys next time. And Mika Nandri, if you are coming from India, Namaskaram or Vana come to you, and I will see you guys next time.